So I just got my dash put back in, but I went through everything, and I'm gonna piece it together and show you guys the steps on removing the dash in your Leica Mark VIII. Taking the seats out first, obviously, that's pretty straightforward. There's electrical connectors underneath them. You'll need to leave those connected to slide the seat forward to get to the back ones, and then slide the seat backwards to get to the front bolts. There's 4, 2 nuts in the back, 2 bolts in the front, and then once that's loose you can pull the electrical connector out. Same for both sides. You want to start after you get that out by pulling this piece right here, this little splash guard, kick panel, whatever. There's 1 screw right here, and the rest is just clips that come out when you pull it out. And then once you get that out, you can then pull the molding, door molding, all the way. You can pretty much take it all the way out, because you're going to need to get this A-pillar out as well, which doesn't have any screws or anything, but it's just all just clips. And once you get the A-pillar and the molding out, then you can start on taking your kick panels there out to get to the bottom dash bolts and electrical connectors on both sides. They reveal some electrical and the bottom bracket for the dash, so that should be all pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go into pulling all that, but that's where you start, and then you can dig in after that to the instrument cluster, or whatever, radio and climate control area, and then start pulling your center console, and then that'll reveal some bolts behind it to keep the dash on. And then you can roll into pulling that steering column out and get into all the electrical under there. And you also need to pull the well, I don't know if you need to, I pulled this out just so I could get to the electrical connectors better back in there. But yeah, so once you pull your radio, either factory or aftermarket, what have you, not going to go into that, this bottom piece right here, let me just stuff this back in there. This bottom piece with the defrost and heat seaters has got to come out first. Just got a screwdriver protected with a little bit of electrical tape here, and that's just it's just with some pins. But that comes out first, and then reveals the 2 bolts, the only 2 bolts holding the this wood grain bezel on. So you can disconnect those and then pull those to 7mm, and then the rest are just clips that you just pull out like that. So, and then once you got that out, you can then, there's a little bar right here that has a couple bolts. You can pull that out, and then you can unscrew. There's 2 screws behind here. Unscrew that, uncouple the electrical connector and all your vacuum tubes carefully. There's some real thin, flimsy bolts that hold the vacuum harness onto the back of this. So that's pretty much it for this. All your controls, taking that apart, then you can get into taking the center console apart and the shifter assembly. One thing too, I don't have any more, but once you pull this bezel, there will be 2 more bolts holding the part of the automatic shift bracketries. Once you get the center console out, on the stock Lincoln, there's the shifter assembly. There might be a couple cables you have to disconnect, I can't remember, but it's just 4 bolts here, and you can pull the whole thing. And I think I pulled the whole assembly with the cable still connected up here, and just disconnected it at the MLPS, whatever the sensor bracket that's down on the transmission, and then that came out kind of all as one. But obviously this one's a little different, but I just wanted to touch on that real quick. So to get this glove box out, you need to first pull a plastic kick panel. Back of it just rests on this carpet. You can kind of see the crease there that it's left in the carpet, but rests there. There's a little light right there that once you drop the plastic kick panel, it'll twist out, and then it's just pressed into some holes over the top of the hinge for the glove box with the little push clips. So you have to get in there with a screwdriver or whatever. If you have a interior trim removal kit or tools, you can use that, and then you'll just need to remove 3 T15 bolts. So once those are dropped, the glove box will be kind of loosey-goosey, and then you'll be able to take off this right here, this little string that's attached to a little gas shock or air shock. It's like a little syringe up in the dash that reduces the impact of the glove box dropping. Pull that, and then depress your stops. There's one there. There's a stop here as well, and then it'll slide right out. Removing this panel will reveal a bunch of electrical connectors that you'll need to disconnect, as well as the bolt for the dash bracket right here. And there's some insulation held on by these push pins. Just peel that back. There's a series of electrical connectors right here on a little white plate, and then there's a few on the back, as well as your antenna for the radio. So I've got this plastic plate pulled off. It just was connected with the little push barbed whatever disposable connectors. There's some connectors behind that you need to get to as well, but here are all your connectors disconnected that come with the dash here. They all come from up under there, so it should be pretty easy for you to tell which one's gonna come out with the dash. Also, your antenna right here is behind that plate, that little plastic cover there. So when removing the dash, you will need to remove the steering column just to make it easier to work with. So I'm going to show you how that goes on. First, you got to take off this trim piece on the bottom. There's 2 8mm bolts on each side. I already got them loosened up here. Like that. And then this piece will pop out from the front. There's some pins. Maybe it'll cooperate. It's hard with one hand. One on each side. That just pops out. You can see those clips on either side on the top part. And then you will need to remove this crossbar with, it's just 4 8mm bolts, so two on that side, 2 on that side, as well as you'll need a T15 to remove the what is that, data link connector, whatever. Pull that off there, drop this. Now obviously I have my ECM mounted to this as well to make room for that clutch pedal. That won't be there, so this bar will just come right out, and then you can get to the column. So there's a set of electrical connectors down under here on the driver's side, underneath the driver's side dash that we're where we are right now. This is going to look a little different than most of y'all's. I've got a clutch pedal in here that I managed to fit in there, but there's a set of 3 electrical connectors. I don't know if you can kind of see if I can move this light. That doesn't help. Man, it's tight down here. But set of 3 electrical connectors there. 1 big bulkhead there, or whatever connector, which this actually, let's see, this guy needs to come out with the dash right here. This part of it comes out with the dash. This part of it is, well, I don't know, I just disconnected it anyways. This might be kind of confusing, but it slides. I disconnected it anyways. I don't know now that it's back in if it needed to come out or not. I didn't look close enough, but it just slides on this metal piece right here. Let me see if I can film that. Get it. Like that. So, here's looking at it from underneath. The steering column is bolted in 4 places, here, here, and here, and here. It's got cables attached to the part that moves the telescopes in and out, I guess for crash safety or something. But these are 13mm bolts. There's 4 of them. These electrical connectors you'll have to disconnect. This stays attached with the dash harness, so got a pin there to press, pin there, pin sideways on the side here to depress, and then this one pull out as such, and then another one to depress there. Before you'd have gotten to this part, you would have had to remove let's see, this guy, this, see if you can see it, this air ducting that goes, sprays a little air on your crotch area, and then over to this air vent. So that just slides. It's got, you can see it's got a flex joint right there. It just slides out. I've just got them taped off for then. The 4 bolts there, as well as you obviously have to remove this 10mm from the steering shaft. I just got it loose in there right now. I wanted to show you guys everything. And I believe, I don't remember the exact way it goes, but I think this bar, this little safety bar, goes in like this, which I cannot run anymore because of the ECM, but just take note as to where that comes out, and obviously put that back in. But yeah, so once you disconnect from the steering column, all your electrical connectors, 4 bolts, after you've removed the trim panel, crossbar, and air duct, this will drop out. It's probably a good 25 pounds or something, so be mindful. But that's pretty much it. So that's how to remove steering column. Well, we got ourselves a bonus round here. You actually do not have to remove this to pull the dash. I pulled it anyways. I was referencing a Thunderbird dash removal right up online, so maybe there's something a little bit different about that dash. It was pretty close as far as instructions and stuff go. Got me close enough to know where I needed to go without breaking stuff, except for this piece right there. There's part of the clip broke off, you can see. This is pretty fragile. But anyways, if you needed to get to the airbag or anything, you would need to remove this. There's a couple of bolts behind this panel here, and there's a couple other ones removed from this corner piece as well. But this thing comes out as one piece. It's got a couple of bolts over here. The rest are just little, I don't know what you call those things, just clips that just press in. So just got to be real gentle. It took me probably 15 minutes or so to pull this thing here, just because it's long and pretty thin. I would just suggest grabbing wherever it's the thickest, like in behind here when you're pulling it out. But yeah, the light selector dial screws into the front with 3 screws here, and then you got your panel dimmer. It's got a connector on the back, so that'll just come out. Just got 2, see if I can do this while holding the camera. It's just got 2, I guess it goes in out from the front actually. There it is. Ooh, I got that shit in backwards, yo. I was just looking. It's actually, it sits a little closer to the dimmer, like thusly. That's better. That just snaps in your connector. Just comes out right there. This light is just pressed. Where does that go? Oh, that's in the top there. So we'll have to feed that through that hole. And so when you're pulling that out, that'll be obviously still connected to this front piece there. With defroster bezel on the top here, there's the seam that goes across. It just snaps in with little clips like that. Let's see if you can see those. So that, you just need to work your way along, and they'll all just pop out like that. The bolts you'll need to remove after you have pulled out climate control, radio, and stuff like that. Also, you have to pull this grommet out from the tunnel there. That's all your transmission connectors. You'll need to disconnect that as well, because that's part of the dash harness. But yeah, after you get all your fascia out here, center console out, pull this stereo, climate control. After you've removed all of that, and the glove compartment box, and all the connectors down here and under here, you can go ahead and take the bolts out. So there are 2 located here, one there, one there. There's 2 bolts in each corner, one there and one there. There's also another up under here that's kind of that tripped me up at first when I was pulling this. It's right there. This guy actually bolts to the the park brake assembly, which then bolts to the side of the body of the car there. So, and then there's one more here on the corner. It's this little bracket right here. unbolt this guy. So this bolt goes into a piece that's bolted, another piece that's bolted to the tunnel there, comes up and out at an angle, and then there's this little cup or tray, little L bracket thing that bolts there to that piece coming out of the tunnel, and then through there to the dash frame. And that's it as far as bolts go for the bottom. And then there's just a series of bolts up top that you'll be able to get to after you've removed that defroster cowl bezel, whatever that is. So that's all you'll need to unbolt that, and then it should slide out as long as you've removed everything else.